It's rare for me, a long-winded nitpicker by nature, to emerge from 8 hours of anything with nothing to say. After all, my channel has made a meager existence on doing the exact opposite. Poking and prodding games until they inevitably break, revealing their janky innards upon which whiny critics such as myself love to feast. But when it comes to Ereban Shadow Legacy, a dystopian stealth platformer that gives you the ability to transform into shadow when you're already standing in shadows,
I can only become invisible when no one's watching.
Well, I'm left with surprisingly little to report in the way of either good or bad, which I suppose leaves us with the okay. Though presented in perplexing pieces, Ereban's story is actually quite simple once you add it all up. You are Ayana, a spunky shadow walker and perhaps the last of the Ereban. Chased for your powers by the well-meaning if wildly unethical Helios Corporation, you join forces with a dusty band of domestic terrorists called the Forgotten Sons to fight back against the Helios machine. Together, Ayana and the Sons, which is a pretty cool band name, engage in a Helios hacking spree that brings Ayana closer to both unearthing the evil company's true intentions and the mystery of her people's disappearance. Oh, and I guess the equal parts clever and lazy decision to give everyone masks meant the devs could afford voice actors, and they do an okay job with the often corny script.
A locked door is no match for the intrepid Ayana. Yeah, no, sorry, I was trying out a more epic adventure tone.
When Ayana isn't busy corning it up, she's probably making use of her handful of gadgets and shadow powers. Ereban gives you a decent assortment of decoys and traps to deploy at your leisure, and if you run out, you can craft more with scrap you gather about the world. While you're out foraging, make sure to ponder these orbs, as collecting them allows you to unlock even more shadow powers that you probably won't really need to use. Because Ayana's Shadow Merge starting power is hilariously overpowered. Really, it took me a long time to realize this, but assuming you monitor your shadow stamina meter and avoid both environmental lighting and the light emitted by Helios forces, you'll be able to float through most levels undetected. If for some reason you find yourself struggling against the game's 3 robotic enemy types, note that killing Helios' harmless human employees will grant you permanent added shadow essence, which makes an easy game even easier, but in doing so will unlock the game's bad ending. During Ereban's later levels, you'll begin seeing fewer patrols and more puzzles. For the most part, these puzzles are simple, with solutions plastered to the walls in glowing neon blue. After sleepwalking through most of these, I was surprised by the amount of dexterity required to solve the game's final few puzzles that make clever use of rotating shadows. It's a shame the game took 7 hours to reach this point, as it's only then that Ereban's shady central mechanic began to shine. As for style, Ereban's in-game visuals are fairly dated looking and feature a washed-out color palette reminiscent of modern mobile games, which makes the game's semi-frequent frame stuttering even more disappointing. This said, some of Ereban's sci-fi set pieces do stand out, and there's a decent variety of biomes to carefully explore. While doing so, however, I can't say I ever noticed the game's soundtrack, and the sound design is nothing special. So we'll wrap up with overall value. I got to the end of Ereban in about 8 hours, but I didn't come close to finding every collectible, nor did I replay any level to improve my score. Thus, I could see most folks getting closer to 10 hours out of this game. For $25, I consider Ereban Shadow Legacy reasonably priced, so I guess I'll leave it with the reasonable score of 3 out of 5. Until next time, this is Scope, and thanks for watching.